Hello and welcome to the show. There is a reason why some people say traveling is the best form of education. The languages, the cultures, cuisine, and history you learn during an international trip can broaden your horizons in ways that textbooks and the tales of others just cannot. And travel influencers Courtney and Justin Orgias are exposing their two young children to education of a lifetime. The Orgias family packed up their belongings about 2 years ago to live abroad, and the uptick in school shootings played a role in their decision to leave the U.S. Their mission now is to inspire and educate other families about living overseas. Welcome, the Orgias family. We love the babies, right?
Minus the babies.
Not the babies. We got beautiful pictures of the babies, but we wanted to talk to the two of you about how you do this. Like, let's start with whose idea was it?
It was Courtney's.
Yeah,
it was definitely Courtney's idea.
So tell me how because you had one at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So how old was your little one at the time?
Xavier, I think, was about 2, and we were actually pregnant with Whitley when we had this idea. We were baby mooning in Aruba, and it just sort of came to me like, what if we don't go back, or what if we find a way to, stay gone? And I was surprised. Justin was actually really receptive to the idea, more so than I'd initially hoped.
So let's talk about, because I know there's so many questions here, right? This was home sweet home,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
And so what kind of work were you doing at the time?
So we both started in tech around the pandemic, so our jobs went fully remote when the pandemic hit.
Sure.
So
Okay. So
we
you
were-
had the flexibility of being able to work from home.
Exactly.
You can do that. Yeah. But then there are all the other things that come with picking up and moving. What'd the family say? What'd the parents say?
They thought we were crazy. They thought we were a little crazy, but we've always done things a little non-traditional.
Yeah.
And so they knew that once our mind was set, that we had made a decision. We had 2 of our kids at home. We had both home births, and so they thought we were crazy for doing that too. So, and it went well. We always find a way to figure it out.
So how do you decide where you're going to go? Because the baby mooning in Aruba, obviously came back to the States to have the baby. Mm-hmm. But then where do you start when you say, okay, we're going to take this newborn and this toddler and just start traveling the world? And how long do you stay?
Well, we get a dart and we throw it at a mess.
Stop playing with me. You are not throwing the darts.
When we first started, we left the U.S. when Whitley was like 10 weeks old. So we had a small checklist. We knew we needed infrastructure. We wanted to be close to the U.S. in case we had to go back or family had to come to us. And we also knew that as far as like visas and sort of just figuring it out on the fly, we wanted flexibility. Mm-hmm. So we chose Mexico.
Okay.
We actually started in Guadalajara, which is the second largest city, the Silicon Valley of Mexico, because it hit a lot of those boxes.
Gotcha. But there's a 10-week-old. And so in my auntie mind, I'm like, what about all those baby checkups? What about all the wellness visits? What about all the things that we're used to in our routines? How did you break away from that?
Yeah, I think knowing that everywhere in the world is going to have hospitals, you can always find a doctor, you can translate all the information, and sometimes the healthcare system is a little bit better abroad as well. Definitely more cost effective. So we did a lot of research and planning on the front end. So we figured out, okay, if we were going to go to Guadalajara, what area are we going to stay in? How close are we going to be to schools and hospitals? And that's one of the reasons why we didn't go to like a little beach town in Mexico, because originally that's what we thought we would do.
Yeah.
I see the eye roll on that. It was like, it sounded like a good idea. Okay, gotcha.
I thought we were
taking this baby to the beach town. That was cute before there was a baby, right? But needed some more structure. Did you learn the language? Like, how do you become acclimated being in a different space and calling it home? You're not tourists. This is home now.
Yeah. One of the reasons we spend so much time in Latin America is because my Spanish is pretty good. I picked up Spanish from family when I was younger, so I've got enough to, get around, to be dangerous, to kind of talk to people. I can read it really well.
Okay.
So that takes immediately some of the fear off. And then Justin and the kids are learning. I've been speaking to Xavier in Spanish literally since he was born. So we're able to pick that up. But I think once you kind of cross over the barrier of language, everything else gets a little easier to understand. The fear's removed.
Of course, of course. So I think there may be folks who say, oh my goodness, they're still young. You can do this while they're still young. But I imagine people start questioning you about what will you do as they get, more school age, kindergarten and elementary. But I know that with school shootings, it made you go, let's pause here. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think what is in Texas, Uvalde, the elementary school shooting happened. I think that was like a week before we left or something like that. And it was tragic and awful, and it also reaffirmed for us that that's not the type of school system and environment that we want to raise our kids in. In Mexico, our kids have been enrolled in 2 different schools, very safe, very secure, even as far as like access to the school. As they get older, we have committed to doing what's best for them. So whether that's homeschool, if that's putting them in a traditional environment, if it's virtual learning, whatever that looks like, maybe even a mix, right, as we world school and travel.
Yeah.
But we are very much letting them lead with that, right? Our job as parents is to make sure they're safe and secure and nurtured, and whatever that looks like for them as individuals, we're going to make it happen.
What is the longest amount of time that you have spent in one home? And was it an apartment? Was it an Airbnb? How much did it feel like a home versus a hotel with little ones?
I think right now, we live in Mexico City right now. We've been there since January. We signed a lease with them, and a lot of times they have these fully furnished apartments. So they are set up like an Airbnb, but what the tenant really wants, what the owner really wants is a long-term tenant.
Gotcha.
And so they're pretty easy to find. We work with a local realtor in Mexico, and it's felt like home after month 1.
Gotcha.
For me.
So just real quick, so you lived in Mexico. Where were you living before that? When you first left Atlanta or left the States, where did you go?
We're in Guadalajara, Mexico.
Then when Guadalajara. Okay, so it's just been a move within within Mexico right now.
No.
We'll tell you what, we're going to pause right there. And when we return, we're going to talk about all the different spaces and places where you have lived and continue to explore. Up next, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that come with living abroad as well. Plus, they're going to break down the importance of building a safe and really reliable community while you're traveling abroad. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I really want to thank you for season 3 of Portia. It's because of loyal viewers like you that we keep getting to share this daily dose of positivity all across the country. So just a reminder, I still need you to like, comment, and subscribe. And go ahead and tell your friends. You can catch us now in Orlando, in San Francisco, in Atlanta, and all across the country on Fox Soul. Tell your friends. We'll see you soon on Portia.